Meanwhile, now to Canada, where police are threatening to arrest Freedom Convoy protesters without a warrant.
Yeah, and listen to this. A court in Ontario freezes access to over $8 million in donations for these protesters.
This time with Give, Send, Go. Jeff Flock from our sister network, Fox Business, joins us live on the ground in Ottawa from inside the Freedom Convoy. Jeff?
That has been a real important thing for this convoy because the funding of it has been a key. It's been very well organized to the point I'm standing in what is a child care area here. We're early and the kids aren't here yet, but this is what they've set up. I mean, they've got everything. They're smoking meat over here, and we're right in front of Parliament. This is the exit and entrance for a lot of people, members of Parliament. And, you know, yesterday I watched people come out after debating, and even some of the Parliament members who are in favor of the mandates and that sort of, nobody accosted them, nobody chased them into the bathroom or anything. This has been a very peaceful, in my view, very peaceful protest throughout. Occasionally you get somebody who's, starts a little trouble, but generally this is a peaceful movement here that has gone well beyond the truckers. Maybe you see, this is and you often hear the tones of French because there are plenty of French Canadians
here.
Yeah,
that's la petite Québec ici.
Why are you here?
To get our freedom back. I don't want to raise my kids with masks and QR codes, so that's why we're here.
What are you making this morning?
Bacon and eggs. I just started, so I'm cooking the bacon first, and we have plenty of eggs. So
it sounds like you're here for the long haul.
Yeah, I'm here since day one, so it's been 15 days. We're in Ottawa right now. I'm with my wife and kids, so we're here to stay.
You feel very deeply about this to make that kind of a commitment.
Yeah. Like we're all in this together, but people don't realize how we struggling in this, and we need a QR code for this or QR code for that, and so it's like
too much.
Yeah, it's too much. And the pressure we have to get vaccinated, there's something about it that just don't work.
Are you vaccinated?
It's medical information. It's not of your business.
Okay, that's a fair answer. Yeah, but you just don't want to be mandated.
Yeah, that's it. I just don't want to end all the mandates, and it's going to be all right.
Got it. I appreciate it. Yeah. I'll let you get back to breakfast.
Thank you.
Thank you. You can just walk up to pretty much anybody here, and they got something to tell you. Their passion, carrying Canadian flags, as I see this gentleman here, right here. Tell me why you're here, sir.
I'm a 60-year-old grandfather who's been fired from his job by General Motors of Canada on December 12th. They told all non-vax people to just leave. They cut us all out. My 31-year-old son has lost his job. He will be in April. He's been told he's gone because he's not vaxxed. And my daughter, who was pregnant in the fall and being asked to vax, had to leave early and give birth to a child prematurely after the government was harassing her to take the vaccine. So my family has been impacted in hundreds of thousands of dollars. My son-in-law has his own business, consulting business, and he's losing tens of thousands of dollars. The government has decided to punish their people, and I'm here to stop it.
You feel very passionate about this.
I will die to protect my family and my children from overreach by the government. I'm here for peace, for love, and satisfaction of people living in a country in unity. And this Mr. Trudeau does not deserve the title of Prime Minister. He is an insult to Canadians. I just want to know how far Mr. Trudeau would go if somebody took the food off of his table, because that's how far I'm going to go, Mr. Trudeau. Mark my words, Mr. Trudeau.
Sir, I appreciate very much you sharing your story. I can see the emotion.
Thank you.
No one could say it better, perhaps, in terms of a spokesman for this group. And that's just a guy I walked up to. I hadn't talked to him before. That's what we're seeing out here. You know, it's not just the federal government here, it's the individual provinces as well. So it's complicated.
The primary responsibility of the Prime Minister is to unify this country, to bring it together, people from all parts, all corners. The French, the English, the Indigenous, the non-Indigenous, those from the East, those from the West, etc. The purpose of the Prime Minister, first and foremost, is to bring us together around a unified vision. This is what ensures our prosperity as a nation. It's dumbfounding, then, as to why our Prime Minister would look to do the exact opposite. Why he would look to stoke the flames of division, fear, and worry. Why he would look to pit friends against one another, neighbors against one another, family members against one another. Why he would look to even wedge his own caucus members against one another. And we know that this is true because there actually have been a few brave members from across the aisle who have come forward and who have exposed the Prime Minister's strategy, which is to divide Canadians, to create wedge issues. And at the point of that is vaccines. So rather than using them as a tool, which is what they're meant to be, he's used them as a weapon. Shame. That's incredibly sad. He's used them to pit one group against another. So instead of acting as a prime minister, instead of being a statesman, he's been a gamesman. Instead of showing statesmanship, he's simply showing gamesmanship. It's divisive, it's exploitive, it's cold, it's cruel, it's calculated, and it's wrong. Canadians have sacrificed so much, so much, over and over again. They have been asked to reorient their lives, to adjust, to follow the rules, the regulations that are ever changing. And they have. They have. To their credit, they have. And now they're watching as other countries around the world, such as the UK or the Czech Republic or Israel or Switzerland or Ireland or Denmark, are opening up. They're watching as provinces such as Alberta and Saskatchewan or United States are opening up. And they're saying, well, wait a minute. We followed the rules. We did what we were told to do. Why isn't the Prime Minister making good on his promise? Where's the plan? Why isn't Canada able to open up? You don't have to look any further than outside those doors to see the impact that the Prime Minister is having with his abdication of leadership on this issue. This country is in chaos. Canadians are pleading for help. They have done their part, and now they are asking that the Prime Minister does his. So is it any wonder then that these individuals do not trust the government, that they have big questions about whether or not follow-through will actually take place? I mean, out of one side of his face, the Prime Minister says one thing, and then out of the other side, he says another. Sometimes within the same sentence, he contradicts himself. Canadians have lost trust. And with losing trust, their hope is also waning. But that is not their fault, as the Prime Minister would like to point. No. That is the Prime Minister's responsibility. He is the one who broke their trust. People are desperate. Desperate for hope. Desperate for leadership. Desperate for a future. Their ask isn't out of this world. They're just asking the Prime Minister to do what he promised he would. Canadians, they're absolutely incredible. I love this country, and I love representing the people of it. As Canadians, we persevere because that's who we are. We're incredibly adaptive, we're innovative, we're creative. We find solutions, we solve problems, we're tenacious, we're resilient, we're courageous. But the hope is waning, the confidence is waning. Because of the trauma, the pain, 2 years worth. Isolation, lockdowns, ever-changing goalposts. I have received thousands of emails and phone calls. I'll share a few. James contacted me. He's a university student. And he wrote to me saying this. He said, following the summer, much of learning has been disrupted. From canceled classes, in-person social experiences, and now completely remote learning. This has taken a serious toll on the way I view education. I used to look forward to going and participating in class, and now I dread spending hours of time a day watching pre-recorded videos alone. I plead that you will consider the harmful effects that these mandates can have on all the people of Alberta and Canada. There is a plea being made by the people of this country. Domestic violence is up. Opioid use is through the roof. Cancers being undiagnosed because people can't get in to see their doctor in time. Maria wrote to me, she works with adolescents in mental health. And she wanted to make sure that I understood that she is seeing a drastic increase in young people with mental health issues. And she said, quote, "It is extreme." I had a desperate call from a mother just a little while ago. Her child is suffering from an eating disorder, and for a 1.5 years, they waited to see an expert. They waited for help while their daughter wasted away. There have been canceled surgeries and treatments, and there has been isolation that has taken a significant toll on our elderly. I talked to one nurse, and she shared with me that the number of euthanasia requests has gone up. And the number one reason that she is noticing is because of isolation, loneliness. No one should be put in a place where they are choosing to end their life because their government is dictating to them that they cannot see anyone, that they cannot be in contact with other human beings. There are countless emails that I have received with regards to loss of livelihood, postal workers, truckers. One person who wrote to me said this. She said, "This crisis has been exasperated," and this individual is a health practitioner. "This crisis has been exasperated by, quote, imposing lockdowns, separating families and support systems, enforcing vaccine passports, segregating people, and making it socially acceptable to regard vaccine-free citizens as selfish, uneducated, irresponsible murderers. These are just a few of the things that I have been called in the workplace. Recent comments by our Prime Minister simply fuel the hatred and the intolerance toward individuals like me." The Liberals will try to slough this off as if the majority of what we're talking about today is the responsibility of the provinces. But make no mistake, the federal government has a significant role to play. Language, it's powerful. When the Prime Minister decides to demonize a certain section of this society, a certain portion of our population, that's wrong. And he incites violence. Travel on a plane or a train or public transportation. Public sector employees, many of whom are working from home, and yet they lost their jobs because they didn't choose to be vaccinated. Truckers and other essential service workers, they stay in their truck. Please tell me the science behind that decision. How are they spreading the virus? The Prime Minister, he likes to use science, but only when it serves his desire to hold power. But if it requires him to grant people their freedom, then he wants to ignore it altogether. That's wrong. Dr. Tam has said, and I quote, "All policies need to be examined." She goes on to say, "We need to recognize this virus will not disappear, and we need to address the ongoing presence of the virus in a more sustainable way." And the World Health Organization has advised that vaccine passports should not be required to enter or exit a country. Why is the Prime Minister ignoring the science? It's time for leadership. It's time for action. It's time to put together a plan. It's time to be compassionate towards the Canadian people. Even today during QP, the member from Eglinton Lawrence, he said this, and I quote, "It is important more than ever to ensure that the Canadian public are informed about the ways in which we are going to get out of this pandemic." I sure hope that his colleagues across the aisle agree with him on that. It is time for a plan. It is time to restore hope. It is time to move forward into the future. It is time for the Prime Minister to make good on his promise. Canadians are waiting.